Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of tutoring for Microsoft Word. Okay, this Microsoft Word is best used on the Microsoft style computers. There is a version of Office Word for Mac, but I will not be covering the Mac today. So I might do that sometime in the future. There's no guarantees though. Okay, so first of all, welcome to SPD 695 or 696. This tutorial will be good for covering both of those classes, and actually any classes for National University. So feel free to use this. I'm using version 2016, which is pretty much basic. Now, when I open up my Word file, you're going to notice that it may look a little bit different than yours. The reason for that is because I wear a number of hats, and so I have some applications there in Word that you might not be using. So please don't let that bother you. I'll show you the basic program, and I will let you know what has been customized. Okay, so without further ado, let me share my screen with you and go over a few things that will be helpful to you. All right, so hopefully you can see my screen here. And it looks to be a little bit too big. So I'm going to show you a little trick. First of all, I've got a warning up here. It's a security warning. I have a lot of security on my computer. I do that because I download many documents, and macros are known to contain viruses if you don't know where they're coming from. So I automatically have this enabled on my computer to protect my computer. I send out emails to a variety of different companies, and they want to make sure that what I send to them is clean. So I have the macro warning enabled. So to get rid of that warning, all I have to do is click on Enable Content. So when I do that, now it's clear. Now I can work with it. Okay, so you'll notice over here on the right side, the pane there says Grammarly on it. And that is because that is an app that I use from the internet. I use that in grading papers, and I use that in my own writing when I'm writing, so that I cut down the number of mistakes that I make down to a minimum. So we all make mistakes. Unfortunately, in a university setting, we want to keep those mistakes to an absolute minimum. That's why I use Grammarly. It helps me. And you can use it also. The cost is very reasonable. It comes free. You download it from Grammarly.com. So right now, I'm not going to use it for this paper, but I can engage it anytime I want. But for right now, well, actually, I'll just go ahead and leave it open. Right now, what I want to do is I want to get all of the screen in here where I can see it. So I'm going to use some shortcut keys. On your mouse, you have a right and left button. You have a scroll bar, and some of you will have other buttons on your mouse. So normally the scroll button will help you to page through a document. As you can see here, I can scroll up and down. Now, if I press the control key and then the scroll key, then it will change the size of what's inside my window here. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to press the control key, and now I'm going to use my my scrolling button on the mouse, and I'm going to change that so that now it fills in as much of the screen as possible. Okay, so I have trouble with my vision at times, so I try to get a maximum amount of real estate here. So an advantage to you is that hopefully that you can see the document a little more clearly. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take a look at a few items. Right now on my ribbon, I have a number of different things that I can do, little processes. So in the Home tab, I also have the Insert tab. I have the Design tab, the Layout tab, References, Mailings, Review, View, Help. Also have Grammarly, and Acrobat, and I have Script Touch. You don't have this on yours, on your Word document. This is an add-in. I use this when I'm communicating with other people where I need signed documents, then I use this. So Acrobat, you're not going to use that. You should not change your documents into Acrobat for this class. For any of the National University classes, you should use Microsoft Word only. Okay, that means you should not use AppleWorks. I know that Apple has a competitive program. It competes with Microsoft Office. You may not use that. It will not render in Blackboard. So I will not be able to open it. So if you send that to me, it's not going to work. You need to send Microsoft Word. So on your Apple machine, then convert that document to a Word document. Then you can send it to me through Collaborate, through Blackboard. Okay, so we're not going to use that one. Grammarly is an excellent program, like I said before, that it will help you to process your paper. It will give you a different look on your paper so that you know what's going on with your paper. Maybe you have some grammar issues, you're not familiar with them. Microsoft does a halfway adequate job, but it misses a lot and it has false negatives. So in using Grammarly, you have some items here, and it will even check your paper for plagiarism. That might be very important to you because if you plagiarize documents for National University, that can cause you to be expelled from the university or cause you to have a failing grade for the course. So you spend good money for the courses. Even if you finance the courses, you're still paying for them. So you don't want to pay for the course 2 times. All right, so the ones that you will be using are File, Home, Insert, Design, Layout, References, Mailings, Review, View, possibly Help. Okay, I never use it because usually it doesn't answer my questions. So let's start with Home. In Home, when I click on that tab, then it opens up what is contained in the Home tab. So you see all of these different items that are here that you can click on and to use. The ones that are important to you are right here with, for example, the font. Okay, the font is supposed to be Times New Roman. So click on the down arrow there and click on Times New Roman. Now, sometimes it'll be close to the top of the drop-down box. Sometimes you'll have to scroll way, way, way down. It just all depends on when the last time you used Times New Roman. All right, and then your font size for all of your papers here at National University is size 12. So use your drop-down box and select 12. Okay. If you need to increase the font for any reason, maybe you're trying to emphasize something, then you can use this. That will increase the font size by 1 font size each click. So if you want to go back down, then you click the smaller icon. It makes it go down. So depending on which font it is, your font might increase by 1 font size at a time, or possibly 2. So we'll leave it at 12. Now, the next one, the double A here, is change case. So the change case means that you can select what you're trying to work with. It can either be sentence case, all lowercase, all uppercase, capitalize each word. You would use this, for example, in a title, so that you can just type out your title, go back, select your entire title, and click on capitalize each word, and it will do it for you so that you don't have to remember. And then, of course, you have toggle case. This is good if you accidentally click on the cap lock and you don't remember that you have it on. You're typing away as happy as can be, and you look up at your paper, and oh my goodness, now what are you going to do? Well, you could just delete everything and start over, right? But I don't like that idea. So I'm going to go up here and use this tool here, and I'm going to fix that. Okay, so I don't have to retype everything. All right, and then you have your bold, your italics, and your underline. Okay, your strike through, your subscript, your superscript, and then your text effects, and then your background text highlight color, and then text color itself. Now, if you notice over here, when I hover over the B for bold, it gives me a shortcut so that I don't have to go up there and look for that. And the shortcut is Control plus B. What that means is you hold down the Control key and you tap the B as in boy key, and that will make it bold. Now, what is that, just for one word? Well, let's try it out. Okay, we have the word bold here, right? Okay, I'm going to just click anywhere in the word. I'm going to hold down the Control key, and I'm going to tap the B, and it made the whole word bold, not just one letter. Okay, and then if I want to use that word and change the way the font is, then it's already lowercase. Let's change it to uppercase. See how easy that was? And you don't have to highlight the whole word all the time. You can just use what's there. Okay, now if I want to change what I just did, I don't like that. I'm going to use a shortcut, which is Control plus Z, which means you go back a step. Z, I went back one step. Go back another step, it removed the bold. Okay, another step, remove the word. So your Control Z, as in zebra, is going to be a useful tool. It's a time saver, so don't be afraid to use it. Okay, Control plus the letter I is italicize. The U, it's a Control plus U, is going to be underlined. Now, here's a trick about the underlining. There's a little drop-down box. Okay, so you click on that. You have a choice of how you underline the word. Okay, you can either use dotted lines, double lines, bold line, dots, squiggly lines. Use what you want. Okay, it's a nice little tool there. All right, then moving over here, we can change the background, the text highlight. So if I type the word, let's say highlight, okay, Then leave the cursor there, go to the highlight there, and it changes. Okay. Now, if I want to change to, say, red letters. Okay, didn't quite do it. So let me go back. I'll highlight it, click on the red, and I click out. Now I have a yellow background plus red letters. Okay, so how do I get rid of those things? Okay, I can just highlight the whole thing, hit delete, or I can use my Control Zebra key and remove those individual iterations. Okay, so the background, you can have a variety of different colors. Okay, for the letters of the color of the letters, you can have a variety. Sometimes when I'm making corrections on paper, I will change the color of the font so it's easy to distinguish between my comments and what you wrote on your paper. All right, I have different bullets up here, so I can use bullet styles. You have a drop-down box, so I can select the type of bullet that I want. So we'll get rid of that one. If I want the bullets to be numbered, I can do that. If I want to use a descending style, I can do that. So I can click on these, and whatever I click on, then it's going to follow that style. So as I'm making an outline here, then it will break it out. So keep that in mind if you're trying to do an outline. Sometimes you need to do that. All right, and then we have decrease, indent, increase, indent. All right, many times you do not need to use the decrease indent, but sometimes you need to increase the indent. So you might have a long quote. What is a long quote? According to the APA edition 7, a long quote is any direct quote that is 40 characters or more. Okay, basically a rule of thumb is if your direct quote is more than 4 lines of text, then you have a long quote. Now you can go back in and you can count the characters if you want. That's kind of time consuming. So in just a couple of minutes, I will show you how to count those letters without straining. Piece of cake. All right, then you can alphabetize a list. Okay, so you see what it says here? It says organize data in a table. Okay, so if you have a number of items in a list here and you want to put them in alphabetical order, highlight them, click on the A to Z button, and it will sort them for you. Okay, if you're in a table and you're trying to sort information across a table, then make sure you highlight everything that's in the table. And that way everything follows. Otherwise, you might have a situation where only the first column is alphabetized and the other columns did not follow. So they did not follow those alphabetized words. For example, you might, if you're alphabetizing states and their capitals, okay, in one column you put state, the next column your capitals, the next column maybe population, etc. So you want to alphabetize that information. Well, then you highlight everything, you select alphabetize, and it will go ahead and change that for you. Should put everything in the chart in alphabetical order. Okay, now this button here is very useful. I use this many times. If I have someone complaining that they submitted a paper into Blackboard and it messed up the formatting. Okay, that's a common problem. Okay, so then I'm going to go back in your paper, and if I see that you formatted the paper correctly, then I will not deduct any points. Now, if I go through your paper and you have not formatted it correctly, and of course, Blackboard shows it not correctly formatted, then that's when you're going to lose the points. So please make sure that you use the proper formatting. So when I click on this, it's called the Hide Show button. I click on it, and now it changes the paragraph or the enter, because when you hit enter, you start a new paragraph. In Word, anytime you hit enter, you start a new paragraph. Okay? If you're just writing sentences in a paragraph, then you just keep typing. When you come to the end of the sentence, you hit period, and you can just keep on going. When you're finished with a paragraph, then you hit the enter key. Okay, and so that's what this tells me, is how many times you hit the enter key. And when I show you an actual written paper, then you'll see what I'm talking about. Your spaces are dots. Okay, your tabs, if you hit the tab key, they're arrows. So that tells me you used a tab key. Okay, and there's a couple of others, but these are the main ones. So what I'm looking for example, let's say control break, okay, because I want to start a new page. So I'm going to hold down the control key and hit enter. And now you notice what happened. It made a page break. Let me go back up so that you can see where that page break occurred. And there you see it, page break, and then starts a new paragraph. So that page break is telling me that we got to the end of the information here. We made a page break, which forces my information to start a brand new page. Okay, and in starting a brand new page, then it's going to start with a paragraph. Okay, so you're not going to find any situations where that doesn't occur. If I'm typing away and I get to the edge of the paper here, I just keep typing, it goes to the next page, keeps going and going and going. When you hit the that tab key, then it gives you a new paragraph. I'm sorry, I take that back. It's not the tab key. It is the enter key. When you hit the enter key, it's a new paragraph. When you are finished with that section and you want to go to a new section, then use page plus enter. That means you hold, oh, I must be tired, I apologize. Use control plus enter. Hold down the control key and press enter. Okay, and that will give you another page break. Okay. All right, so much for that. When you get to the end, when you get to the end and you do your references, you write your references, and then after your references, then you're going to do another page break, and you're going to do any appendix that you have. If you have one appendix, you put that here. Folks, it's important to understand that the appendix never comes in front of your references. Your references come first, then your appendixes. Okay, so regardless of what individuals have told you in the past, in APA, the appendix comes after the references. So please make sure that you do that. Okay, an appendix is additional information. So it's not really part of the paper. It might be part of what you're referring to in your paper, but is not really a part of the paper. It's an attachment. It's just like an email. You send an email, you send an attachment. It's not really part of the email, but it is attached to the email. And if you choose to open it, you are able to open it. All right, so then your appendixes, You can call it plural appendixes or appendices. Either way works. So just for you to know, there'll be parts of the assignments in SPD 695 as well as SPD 696, where you will have appendixes that you have to add to your paper. So in both of the courses, you'll have at least 2 papers that need the appendixes. I believe in 695, it tells you that you have the option of submitting the appendixes as a separate document. Okay, you can follow what your instructor tells you for that section. Okay, if I'm your instructor for 695, then I'm going to ask you to attach them to the paper. And if I'm the instructor for 696, it's going to be the same. I'm going to ask you to attach the appendices. Okay, in SPD 695, you have a minimum of 8 appendices. You will review 8 articles and you will have an appendix on each article. Okay, in SPD 696, you will have a minimum of 12 appendixes. You will have 12 articles that you are reviewing. Excuse me. So you will have 12 appendixes. You'll have other appendixes for other things that you add to the paper, but those are minimums. So please make sure that as you're going through your syllabus that you are following directions. Okay, that's the key. If you want to be successful in either 695 or 696, read the syllabus, follow the syllabus exactly, and you will be successful the first time around. You're not going to be pulling hair and saying, why am I having to do this? And why is my professor telling me to do that? Okay, if you just follow the syllabus, then it will be very clear. Okay. The only ones that have real difficulties, well, I'm not going to be that hard on you guys. Let's just put it this way. If you want the course to go easier for you, then please read and follow the syllabus. Okay, it's very clear as to what's needed in the syllabus. I've tried to simplify things. In 696, I've simplified the samples so that it is one paper that I followed through from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4 in the compilation. Okay, so I used the same paper, but I broke it into the chapters. And the students' paper that I used, those were what were submitted for each iteration. So that way you can follow it from the beginning all the way to the end. And hopefully that will be a big help to you. What was in the course earlier was very difficult because it had 4 or 5 different samples. The samples did not match each other. It was a hodgepodge of things, and it was too confusing, so I got rid of those. And I just put one sample in there. So please use that. Now, if you're taking 696 and you took 695 from a different professor, then your papers may look a little bit different, and that's okay. Each professor has his or her own way of handling the assignments. So whatever you did for that professor, then that's acceptable for that professor. Okay, just keep in mind that the way that I do things is a little bit different. So it may be a switch of some concepts in 696. So you might be asked to do something a little bit different in 696 than what you did in 695. And that's okay, because in your school, from teacher to teacher in each grade level. Each teacher does things a little bit different than the next teacher. And that doesn't mean that the teacher's doing anything wrong or bad. It just depends on the personality and what that teacher finds to be successful. So please don't get angry if I ask you to change some things around a bit. It's not a big drawn out process, very simple changes. And in many cases, there are no changes at all. So don't worry about that. Don't stress about it. Okay, just follow what the rubric says, follow what the syllabus says. You'll do fine. All right, if we go to insert on the ribbon, then we see a number of things here so that you can use. You will need to experiment with many of these things because we don't have time to cover those things this evening in this tutorial. If you have specific questions, you can send me an email and I will take the time to explain the feature to you. So that's not a problem. All right, and then we'll go to Design tab. This one, you probably won't use this for this course. But if you wanted to send a sample paper to somebody, you could put a watermark on it and say draft or sample or whatever you want. Yeah, you can customize that to say whatever you want. Okay? And then if you want to change the color of the paper, you can do that too. If you want a pink background on the whole paper, you can do that. Please don't do that for the coursework though. Okay. If you do, I'll send it back to you and ask you to change the background color. The background color for the assignments should be white. Okay, and then borders. You can put borders around pages. You can, if you're sending letters, bulletins, news letters to parents of students in your classroom, this is a nice way of embellishing your pages so that they look really nice. And they even have some borders in there to match some of the seasons. So it's a nice procedure. All right, let's go to layout. Okay, in layout, you have your margins. So in talking about your margins, please make sure that you're using what's called normal margins. That's 1 inch on all 4 sides. Please do not get creative. Do not change those numbers. APA requires 1 inch. You're doing manuscript, that's different, but we're not doing manuscript. Okay, so we're not going to go into that. All right, then you have your orientation. Here is where you choose whether you have portrait or landscape. Your paper should be all portrait. However, if you have a page that has a large table on it or a large chart and it won't fit on that portrait size paper, then you can, for that one page, use landscape. Okay, but then you have to switch back to portrait for the rest of your paper. Okay, size. Well, this is for people doing international writing. Okay, so I want you to use the American size for your paper. That is letter size, it's 8.5 by 11. You'll notice that some other styles like A4 is, it's different. It's almost the same, but it's different. If you use A4 and you try to print it on your printer, it's not going to come out right. Okay, executive, we're not using executive or legal. Okay, we're not using A5 or any of these others. Please only use letter size 8.5 by 11. Most of you already have that set up on your computers, but in case you've been playing around or somebody else used the computer, or if you have kids and they're doing design projects on your computer, It's okay, but just make sure that when you do your assignments for National University, that you switch back to letter style. Okay. Now this one here, columns, how many columns do you want? How many columns are required for SPD 695 or SPD 696? It is one column only, okay? 2 columns is good only if you're writing a journal article, okay? Because then that will automatically put 2 columns on your paper. So you don't want to do that. So let me go back here and change that back to 1. Okay. All right. And then page breaks, line numbers. Line numbers, if you're writing a legal document and you have to number each line, this is a good one. It'll automatically put the line numbers for each line. If you write 10 pages, it's going to number each and every one of the lines of text in that document for all 10 pages. So you might get up to line number 2,466. I don't know, but that's only used for legal documents where you have to be able to find a part of the document really quickly. You can do that by line number. Okay, and then hyphenation, it'll tell you if you want to hyphenate words when you get to the end of the sentence. If there's a natural break in the word where it can hyphenate, it will hyphenate for you if you make that selection. For APA 7, do not use hyphenation. Okay. Then references, I wouldn't use this unless you're really super familiar with it, because this can be very time consuming. Okay, we use APA style, but this is APA edition 6. So it is no longer valid to use APA number 6. So don't rely on anything in this particular tab here. All right, mailings. If you're sending out mail to the parents of your students, then this is a nice place to go so that you can set up your letters, do mail merge, print out your envelopes. If you have an electronic stamp account, then you can actually print the stamps on your envelopes. I send out quite a bit of mail, so I use the electronic stamps. Saves me 4 cents a stamp. So I like it. All right, and then review. Okay, now the review, here's where you have the ABC word count. So you can count the letters, the characters, or you can count the words. It will give you the number of words and the number of characters. So remember that your long quotes, anything over 39 words. Okay, so this is going to tell you if you have more than 39 words. So if you have more than 39 words, then you're going to have to format that direct quote. It's going to be different. Okay, and what I do when I look at your quotes, and I'll do a quick count and say, okay, let's see, how many lines does this cover? Ooh, this quote covers 5 lines. I would imagine that it's probably not going to pass muster. So I will select that and I'll come up here to word count and click on here. I'll find out 62 words. Okay, it should have been formatted differently. So I'm going to flag that and ask you to fix it. Thesaurus is good because sometimes in our writing, we use the same word over and over and over again. We think, I'd sure like to find a different word, but I don't have time to go and dig up a thesaurus, or I don't have time to go online and look for a thesaurus. Well, you've got one. It's built into Microsoft. So you can click on that, type in the word that you're looking for, and it will give you a list of any substitute words that you can use so that it adds flavor to your writing. You don't want to say the same thing over and over and over again. It starts to become boring. Then, of course, you have your ABC, your spelling and checkering, spelling and grammar checker, I should say. Then you have comment section here. So if you're reviewing papers that students send to you by email, then you can click on these and you can make a comment. I do that a lot in papers. Sometimes I just use a text writer and just type in text. There's a number of ways that you can handle that. You can track changes. You can do simple or markups. You can show markups so that you see what somebody has changed in the paper. All right, and then if you go to the View tab, then you have here different ways of looking at your paper. Now, if you want the print layout, which most of us do because it shows us where paragraphs begin and end, they show the format of what we have written and it's on the paper. That's how it's going to print. Okay, but maybe we don't want that. Maybe we just want to read the paper. Well, you can click on the read mode and it gets rid of the page format and just simply puts the text on there. Shows the indent, shows everything it's supposed to be, but no pages. It's just your paper. So if your paper is 10 pages long, as you read it here, it's not going to show you where those page breaks are. Same thing with the web layout. If you want to see what it looks like on the web, then you click on that. So I would leave it on print layout and just leave it there. Okay, vertical writing, I'd leave that alone. That means the print starts at the top and goes in subsequent lines underneath it. Otherwise, you might have text like in some of the Asian languages where the text actually runs up and down. So you don't want that. Okay, and then you can put a ruler or take the ruler out. The ruler helps you to visualize how much writing space that you have. So if I take the ruler off, see, now it's gone, and there's no problem with that. But now I no longer see where my margins are. I no longer see what amount of space I have. Maybe I'm trying to calculate something that I want to put into the paper. So I use ruler. See, now it shows me the margins, etc. Now, if I want grid lines, I can do that. I click on grid lines, and that shows you what that page is going to look like. So that as you type, you can see everything in here. And it kind of helps you that if you want to put a picture in here someplace, that you can align it to the grid and it will look better. Okay, I don't use it. I don't recommend that you use it unless you're going to insert a picture of some sort, chart, whatever. Navigation pane, this is where you can search the document for a particular word or headings or whatever you're looking for. Okay, so I'm not going to go into that. Zoom will allow your page to get bigger. We can take a look at one page at a time or 2 pages at a time or more. So this is handy. So if you're looking for maybe a page break on a page and you want to figure out where it is, or you put a chart in there, but you can't remember what page it's on, then you can use this feature here. Okay, go back to one page. All right, and then you have your Grammarly. You can have a new window. You have arrange all of these different things. If you have 2 documents and you want to review both of them side by side, let's say a student has turned in a paper. You're reviewing it, but you want to see what the student wrote on the paper before, the first version. Then you can open up both of those Word documents, and then select View side by side. That way you have the original document on one side, you have your brand new on the new one. Let's say I do have, I've got 2 here. Let me click on here. Okay, let's see. View side by side. All right. Okay, Zoom is not allowing me to show you both at the same time. So you can play with that, get two documents open and show them side by side view. When you do, then you're going to also see something that says synchronous scrolling. So if you want to use your scroll bar and move both of the documents at the same time, then you can use that and both the documents will scroll at the same time. Okay, sometimes that doesn't work because on one page to the next, maybe your formatting has changed a little bit. Maybe you don't want to see it that way. So then you would click on synchronous scrolling and take it away. If you have any macros, you can put them here. I highly suggest you do not use this. This is very problematic. Sometimes if you put the wrong instructions into the macro, it will do strange and weird things and cause Office Word to crash. And you might lose all the information that you have. So you don't want to use that. All right, these other ones, these other tabs here help. In my opinion, this help is not all that good. So I never use it. Okay, Grammarly is, like I say, it's an application that will check your work. So if you activate this, then it will run in the background, and on the side panel here, see where it says Grammarly, it will show you items that need to be corrected. Okay, and then all issues, correctness, clarity, engagement, delivery, deactivated suggestions, plagiarism. This will help you. Say that you're reviewing something, you wrote it down, but maybe you didn't paraphrase it correctly. Maybe you didn't give the proper attributes. This is going to flag it. And then it's your duty to go back into Word there, take a look at that item and make sure that you paraphrased it or that you have given the proper citation for it. Okay, so just because it shows plagiarism there doesn't mean that it's plagiarism. It just simply means that the system found something on the internet that very, very closely matches what you wrote. So you take a look at what you wrote, and if it's something from an article that you read, just make sure that it is properly cited. And then also make sure that not only is there an inline text citation, but that it is also in your references. So like I say, the plagiarism, that's kind of a nasty word that I don't even like to see it there, because it could just be that somebody has quoted something the right way, but the system is flagging it. So as long as you have the inline citation and it's in the reference section, then you're okay. Now, if you're copying too much, let's say you're copying 2 or 3 pages out of a book, then that's excessive. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so you have that. So that kind of covers the ribbon parts. And as you can see, there's a lot of things that Microsoft Office will do for you to help you. So I suggest that you use that. Now, the last tab here that I did not go over, and I'll go over with you now, is File. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, and it's going to show me a lot of different things. It's going to show me a variety of different templates that I can use. It will also tell me some of the files that I've worked on in the past. It'll also give me information. If I click on information, then it tells me how long I have been editing a particular document. If I open up your document and go into info, then it's going to tell me who the author of that paper is. Okay, so the author of that paper is going to be the name that your computer is registered to. So if I happen to ask you a question and say, say, listen, I see somebody's name here on the document as the author, but it's not you. Why is that? And you answer back and say, oh, well, I'm using so-and-so's computer. And it's a simple explanation. Now, if I find, though, that you have copied from somebody else, then that's going to show up in the paper. For example, sometimes students try to reuse papers that they've submitted to National University or to, say, a different university. And they copy that and try to post it as a new item for National University. Well, the system's going to flag that paper, and it's going to tell me that the plagiarism score is pretty high. And so then I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to pull that original document. I'm going to compare it with what you wrote. And I'm going to be able to see if you actually did do a lot of copy and paste, or in some cases I see 100%. Wow, that 100%, that means everything in the paper was copied and pasted. So please, you don't want to do that. When you write your paper and you submit it, it's going to give you a report. It's not going to be instantaneous. It might take a couple of hours for it to go through and make its report. But it automatically gives me the report, and it tells me what that score is. And if it's really high, then I'm going to pull the original, and I'm going to look at it and see if there's a lot of copy and paste. And if there is, then I'm going to come back to you and ask you to rewrite your paper. Perhaps, well, if it's 100%, well, you know, that's pretty bad, really. And unfortunately, some students have gotten zeros in their course because of heavy-duty plagiarism. One student a number of years ago actually got suspended and expelled from the university. That's pretty heavy duty when you think about it, because you're paying for your classes. These are not free classes. And to get expelled, even though you're paying for the classes, and that's pretty heavy duty. So I know none of you want that to happen. So just make sure that your papers are on the up and up. If you're using a paper that you used previously, and you're using that for background information for this paper, do yourself a favor, do me a favor, send me an email and tell me what you're doing. For example, if in SPD 696, let's say that you're instructed to add some information to the paper that you wrote in SPD 695. Okay, I'm not going to question that because it's part of the assignment. You're being instructed to do that. But if, say, like for chapter 1, you just copy and paste the chapter 1 without making any modifications on it, then that's plagiarism, even if you wrote the paper originally. So you have to use the policy for self-plagiarism. So to avoid that, then you need to make an inline citation to indicate that that's your paper. So it's your last name, comma, first initial, and you're going to follow the instructions in the APA guide. And that tells me clearly that you are attributing properly, you using that paper from before. But then I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, well, you know, you were supposed to modify that paper a certain way. So you need to go ahead and modify that and resubmit it. But at least I'm not going to think, oh man, this student is plagiarizing, because I don't want to think that. I really don't. Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go down all the way close to the bottom. See on the left pane there? That blue pane, I went down to options. So that you're going to click on that options and it's going to bring up a new window. Okay. So this is the window that you're concerned with. It happens to appear on top of the window that's already open. So don't let that bother you. But here in this window here, you have some opportunities to make some changes. In the general tab, then it just gives you a few things that you can change. I would not change anything on this page. There's nothing that you need to change here. Okay, so go to display, the next tab. Now here you can see some of the characters that we saw when I was playing around with that document. So if you want all of these things to show up when you're writing, then you can click on all of these. Okay, and then as you're writing, then all of these marks are going to show up. Well, that's too much clutter, in my opinion. I would not select any of them. I would leave these blank. When you click on that little symbol there, that hide show symbol, then that's going to automatically open up all of these things for you. And it will be there temporarily as long as you need it. Okay, then once you click on that hide show again, it will take all of those characters off the screen. So that's what I suggest. All right, and then for your printing options, you do want to look at this carefully. Make sure that you do not click something that's going to cause you problems when you're printing. Just a couple of weeks ago, I had a situation where a user made some changes in the background for printing and accidentally selected a part where it said to print all of the formatting characteristics of the paper. And so to do that, it was going to add 3 pages to each sheet of paper that came out of the printer. Well, she tried to print a 3-page document and got about 12 pages come out of the printer. And she's very unhappy about that. So I, of course, had to do some troubleshooting to be able to figure out what happened. And after a while, I was able to figure that out. So it took me a while to do it. And I apologized for that, but it is what it is. All right, let's go to proofing. Okay, so in proofing, this is how Word corrects and formats your text. Okay, so you always want to proof your papers. All right, so autocorrect options. If you click on autocorrect options, it opens another little window and it shows you what your what you will type and what it'll look like. For example, parentheses, C, parentheses. Okay, on my computer, it's going to show the trademark sign. Now, it might show that on your computer if your computer is set up that way. If it is not, then you need to add it in there. All right, and then E, okay, and you've got a symbol, you've got parentheses with the R in the middle, that's another trademark. TM in parentheses is going to be trademark. And as you go through, you can type emojis in there and that will show different things. So you have a whole bunch of things. Now, a nice thing about this autocorrect, if you have it activated, is that if you accidentally misspell a word, then it will correct it automatically as you type. Okay, for example, about, accidentally put 2 B's in there, it'll take 1 out. If you spell it wrong, ABOTU, it'll change it for you. About, Well, okay, you need a space in there, right? It'll automatically do it. About it, you forgot the space, it'll automatically put it in there for you. So it's going to take the most common words that get misspelled, and it's going to automatically correct it. Now, if you go through here and you find that a word that you have problems with, oh my goodness, every time I come across this word, I misspell it and I have to go back and correct it. Well, if that's the case, then see where it says replace here? So you replace with. Okay, so the spelling that you normally would put in here, the incorrect spelling, the one that you're having trouble with, write that in here. And then here with, then put the correct word, the correct spelling. Okay, and then add. Once you do that, then anytime you misspell it that particular way, it's going to fix it for you. Now, if you misspell that same word 2 or 3 different ways, well, then put each one in here and it will automatically change that. So it's just like here for about. Did you notice there are 2 different misspellings? Actually, there were 4, there were 5. So the ones that you have problems with, then go ahead and fix them. Fix them right here with your autocorrect. Another thing too, when I used to send letters to parents, I used to use the mail merge, but instead of having to sit there and type in the same salutation over and over and over again, then I put it in the autocorrect. Okay, so for example, if I type just 9 all by itself, then what shows up? Okay, it's an address. Okay, just 1 character there and it gives me the address. If I put more than 1 character in there, then nothing happens. So as you could tell, 99 or PP, let's put the 9s again. Okay, if I put 4 P's in there, I don't have a replacement for that, but I do for one P. Oh, something happened. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a 9, isn't it? Silly me. All right, so then it shows up as the first line here. If I put another N in there, then nothing happens. So let me go back and let me just type in this one here. It changes it automatically. Now let me go back and I'll hit 99. Okay. It's not going to put anything in there because this would automatically show up. All right, so you can put your first initial, second initial, and it will, if you tell it to, it will tell you what the name is. That's gonna make a liar out of me. MRG maybe, there we go. All right, so if I type in my initials, then it puts my name automatically. So if on the paper, I'll do that in a moment. If I put it on the paper, then it gives me my name. All right, and when I used to do this, I was in San Jose, so I just put SJ, and it shows San Jose. Okay, so and I had this set up at one time so that if I put SJ in there, it would put San Jose, comma, California, space 95127. Okay, so you can set it up any way that you want, and this is going to simplify things when you're writing letters. Okay, then you have 2 dictionaries. Well, if you set them up, you'll have 2 dictionaries. Okay, so here let's go to let's see, settings. Okay, when correcting spelling and grammar in Word. Okay, you have some check marks here. I have all of these checked so that when I go through my paper or when I open up anybody's paper, it's going to automatically flag the errors. If you do this yourself, you're going to see those same errors that I will see. The good thing is that since you see them first, you can fix them before you send the paper to me. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. All right. And then your writing style for grammar. Okay. So what do we want? We want basically just grammar. So I'll just leave grammar. Now look here, settings. Okay. So here in the settings, okay, and I have everything checked here because that's what I check for. So in grammar, you can select the things that you want this to flag for you. For clarity, I leave double negation out. It doesn't matter to me. Jargon, I do want to flag. Passive voice, I do not check for those, or for split infinitives. Conciseness, yes, I do. Formality, I check for contractions, informal language, slang. Okay, those 3 items have no place in a paper that needs to go through APA version 7. Inclusiveness, I do not check for gender specific language, okay, because that would cause a lot of parts of the paper to be flagged. Then punctuation conventions, okay, Oxford comma, which is inside your punctuation, okay? So the quotes, your punctuation must be inside the quote marks, okay? Space between sentences, 1 space. Now, it used to be years and years and years ago that you had to have 2 spaces. Well, that was when we used typewriters, okay? What in the world is a typewriter? Okay, we don't see those anymore. You can see it, they're relics. Okay, when I was going through school, I had to use the typewriter because we didn't have computers at that time. So I would have to put 2 spaces between the sentences. Now you only put 1, so no big deal. So it's flagged here if it's 1 space. Now, if you don't like 1 space and you want 2 spaces, then you click on 2 spaces. But APA is 1, so that's why I have that selected. Vocabulary, cliches get flagged, okay? They don't belong in APA, okay? So those things are flagged. So when I use the grammar and spelling checker for Microsoft Word, those are the things that get checked, okay? All right, and let's see, and that's about it. So I'm going to click OK. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to show there in options. Okay, we did proofing. All right, save. Oh my goodness. How many times have you worked on a document and you've got page after page after page of information written down, and it is awesome. This is really good work. But something happens and you lose it. Oh no. What am I going to do? Well, if you know where the paper is saved, then you can go back and find it. So you go and take a look here. It says auto recover file location. So here's the address on your computer. This is on my computer, so it's not going to work on yours. But this is where you're going to find it. Okay, so default file location. You want to change where you save it, you're going to change it here. Okay, use the browse button, select a file location where you can save it. Now, I want you to look here. It says save auto recover information. Okay, I repeat, save auto recover information. Please make sure there's a check mark there. Over here, take a look and see how many minutes of work you're willing to lose if the computer suddenly stops for some reason. Example, somebody's walking along and they accidentally step on the electric cord coming out of the wall and it disconnects the computer. Okay, if you haven't been doing the auto recovery, none of that document's been saved, not a word. Okay, so here you can set this up. If you type kind of slow, 10 minutes might be adequate. If you type real fast, well, 10 minutes could be 1 or 2 pages. Can you afford to lose 1 or 2 pages or more? If not, then you need to change this auto recover information. Okay, so let's see, let's go down a little bit. All right, that's going up. I don't want it to go up. I will set mine at, let's say, 3 minutes. Okay, maybe that's 1 page for an average person. You set it for whatever you want. That means that every 3 minutes, it's going to save the document. Every 3 minutes, it's going to save that document. So it's going to be in your auto recover file location. Okay, simple as that. And I believe you can go all the way down to 1 minute. So if you're really worried about your document, set it low. It doesn't really slow down the computer unless you have a lot of other things on the computer running at the same time. Then it might slow down the computer just a tiny bit. But if you have a good amount of RAM on the computer, then it shouldn't be a problem. Speaking of RAM, how much RAM should you have on your computer? I would recommend between 8 to 16 gigabytes. That's more than adequate for anything that you'll use for the university. If you're doing gaming, then you would start at 16 and go up. All right, language. Okay, so office display language. Mine is set at English preferred. Okay. Okay, so I can leave this as the default, which is fine. However, I also write in Spanish, and I need to have my work corrected in Spanish. So what I do here is I go down here, I go to the add a language, click on that, brings up a menu of different things that I can add in here. And some of these will have proofing tools for them, some of them won't. Okay, so you select the language that you want, and you click on it, save it, and that gives you an extra keyboard. Okay. The keyboard is important because the Spanish keyboard layout is different than English. So some of the keys that you would normally hit for English, you don't hit those for Spanish. You'll get something different. So the languages that I have set up here are English, Filipino, and Spanish. And I could actually remove one of these. I don't need the Nicaragua one. So I'll just remove that. Very simple. If I want to add one, I can add one. Okay, so for English, I have proofing installed. Okay, for Spanish, I have proofing installed. For Filipino, there is no proofing available. Okay, so that really doesn't do me much good, so I will remove that as well. All right, so now I have just English and Spanish. So if I want something else, then I can put it in there. If I want Hebrew, then I can put it in there, and it will help me with a lot of things. I don't speak Hebrew, so I'm not going to put it in there. All right, so this is where you're going to add your languages. Now your ease of access. If you need to do something special with Word to make it accessible, then this is where you're going to do it. Okay. And then advanced, you have a number of things that you can automatically use with this. So you can look at that at your leisure. I'm not going to discuss this very much because not much of this is something that you're going to use in either SPD 695 or 696. Now this one here you might use is customize the ribbon. So your ribbon is this up here at the top. So wherever you are on the ribbon, then that just shows you what's available at that spot. So your popular commands, okay, they're listed here, but watch what happens when I do my drop down. All commands. Okay, so there may be some commands that are not listed here. Maybe I want those in there. Okay, so if that's the case, then I click on all commands and you see what happened. See, it made the elevator bar tiny. And oh, look at that, I have to go through a lot here. Okay, so that may be too much. Okay, so let's go back to popular commands. And you'll notice that that elevator bar is a lot smaller. So these are the common items. If there's something here that you want in the ribbon, you don't see it here, then go to all commands. Okay, so your main tabs right here. Okay, well, let's take a look. Okay, got blog post. Okay, that's in there. That's one of these items. You've got insert, outlining, background removal, home, insert, design, etc. You can go down the list and see all of those. If there's something that you don't want in there, then just take the click mark off and you won't see it anymore. Okay, for example, if you don't do any blogging and you don't want this as clutter, you can take that out. You see a plus sign there. If you click on the plus, it shows you what other items are there. So if you're in the blog and you want to do proofing, you can do that. All right, and outlining, you've got a couple of things there, some tools. So you can go through this at your leisure and see what you need to use. Some things you don't want to use, and that's fine. So you make this, you personalize this for your personal needs. Now, speaking of the ribbon, what if you want to have a customization? Okay, you see right up here, this is a customized ribbon so that you can go to any of these items quickly without having to go through the big ribbon here. Okay, so right now, you see I've got these items here. If I go to quick access toolbar, then on this side here, it tells me what's up here. Okay, so I have save, undo, redo, spelling and grammar, insert comment, quick print, and font color. Okay, so if there's something that I don't use that much and I don't want it in there, I can take it out. For example, font color. I probably won't use it, so I'll highlight it and click remove. Okay, now it didn't delete it. All it did was go back onto this side here. So now I have quick print, insert comment, spelling and grammar, redo, undo, and save. Okay, so maybe those are things that I want in there. But what if I want something else? Okay, what could I possibly want? Well, let's see here. Okay. Well, I've already got some things that I don't need. But, well, what about save as? No, I already got that up there. No, I have save, but not save as. Let me try save as. So I highlight it, click add, and then save as is. Well, if I'm going to do that, then I don't really need this unless all I'm doing is updating a document. You know what? I think I'm going to leave that there, because if I'm just simply updating a document that I'm writing, I don't want to save it as a new document. That's going to be confusing. Okay, so when you're finished selecting items, to make that item appear up here, all you have to do is click OK. Now, take a look up here at that quick access toolbar. Now, I removed the font color. I removed it from here. You saw me do that. It's still here, but as soon as I refresh, it'll be gone. And then Save As should appear up here. It's not there now. So when I click OK, let's see if those items change up here in that quick access. Okay, preference change, please restart. Okay, so it will restart, but as you can see, Save As is up here now, and the font color is gone. So it's telling me that I've got too many changes here. I need to restart Word. Okay, so I'm not going to do that right now. I go back to File and Options. Okay, so ease of access, advanced, customize, quick access bar, add-ins. I wouldn't worry about add-ins unless you have a special program. Maybe Grammarly, when you install that, that might show up as an add-in. And then if you're having trouble trying to make an attachment here that you can use as a tool, you might have to use the Trust Center. Okay, those are two tabs I wouldn't mess with. I would just leave those alone. All right, so I'm done with this part, and I'm done with the options. So this is a very good tool for setting up your defaults. Okay, now what I want to do is to actually take a paper. I want to take a paper that has been previously submitted to me. This was a number of years ago. I've taken the student's name off the paper for privacy reasons, but I would like to show you a few items there that will probably be of concern to you. So let me delete this page. And something important that I didn't show you before is that when you make changes in a document, when you click on the exit, a little pop-up message is going to ask you, do you want to save the changes to this file? Now you have a choice. You either save it or don't save. If you're going to save it, then you need to tell Word where to save it. And it will give you that option. You can either save it to the cloud, or you can save it to a file on your computer. So that's your choice. In this case, I'm going to not save this paper. I have no use for it. So I say, no, do not save. All right, but I still need a Word document. So let me share the screen with you. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Now, when I opened this, it opened it in a weird way. It showed me 3 pages at a time. Well, is this good? Could be. It's not good for me because the print is way too small. I can't read it very well. So here's where I'm going to use that control key again. You see that control key is the, I don't want to say magic button, but it's a very, very important button to use. The control will help you do many, many things. So here's what I'm going to do. Okay, on my mouse, I have my scroll button. Now, when I use my scroll button right now, it just moves the paper up and down a bit. Okay, that's not going to help me. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the control key and then move the scroll button on the mouse, and then watch what happens. Here I go. Okay, so if I scroll in one direction, it makes it smaller. So that definitely doesn't help me. So I want it larger, so I'm going to scroll in the opposite direction. Okay, and I'm going to keep scrolling until I get to one page showing up on the page here. Okay, so now I can see this better. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the show and hide because it clutters up my page here. And I've got my document here, and what I'm going to do is make it a little bit bigger for you so that hopefully it's easier to see. I'm going to use the control and the scroll and make this a little bit bigger so that it's going to be easier to see. Okay. All right. So hopefully you can see that well. I know with Blackboard Collaborate, it doesn't do a very good job of showing these shared items. So I'm doing it here on this on my computer in this way. Now, the first thing that you notice here is you have your ribbon, right? Okay. And remember the changes that we made on that last document? Okay, they're here. See, when you go to that options, the changes that you make there, those are permanent changes until you change them again. Okay, so now I have these items here. I have regular save if I'm updating the paper here, or if I want to save it as a new document, then I click on this one. If I want to send it to the printer, I click here. And when, as you can see, if you hover over that, it tells you which printer it's going to send it to. I have two printers. I have a color printer and just a plain black and white. Okay, so when I'm doing practice papers, I use the black and white. The color ink is outrageously expensive. Okay, and then I have my comments that I can click on and put a comment someplace. See, so here in this first case, when I clicked on that, it took me here because there's a problem with this word. Okay, and I look at it here, and actually there is no problem. Okay, so I am going to just exit off of that. All right, so I'll go back up here to the beginning, and it looks like I'm okay. Now for the Grammarly, now this is a pretty neat feature. If I hover my mouse over the edge of the document, and I watch, it'll change to a two-way arrow. If I drag that over, I can make that Grammarly window bigger. Or if I don't want to see much of it, I can shrink it down. Or if I don't want it there at all, I click on the little X, and that box goes away and gives me more space here. Let me just, I'll leave this on for just a moment. If I scroll down, okay, you see some items here. Okay, these are suggestions. So if I'm using Grammarly, then it's going to give me these suggestions. And you can go through there and see. Now, how many items were flagged? Well, you look down here in the lower right corner of the Grammarly window, and it says there's 165 issues. That's all of the issues. Okay, so that's kind of average for a paper. Grammarly is very anal. It finds all of them, flags them all. The nice thing is that the suggestions are only suggestions. You don't have to accept those suggestions. So when you see the suggestion, take it for what it's worth. If you see that it makes sense to make the change, then go ahead and make the change. If it doesn't make sense, or if Grammarly is just flat out wrong, then don't make the change. Okay, so let's take a look at this document here. And let's see if we can find some things that might be wrong. Okay, can you see anything that might be wrong here? Okay, there's a couple of things. I see that in cultural diversity impact on special education, I see that this I needs to be capitalized. The on is okay. You don't need to capitalize that one. You can if you want. Okay. However, if this is just a title by itself, it's okay. The font is pretty much okay. But what is it that we know about the running head? Okay, it has to be all capital letters. So how are we going to fix that? Okay, let's see. Well, see, I can't do anything in here. What do I need to do? Well, I can go to Insert and come over here to page number, because I need to access this margin up here. I can do that. I can go maybe to header, click on header, and it should take me in here. Let's try that. See, well, it did, but it erased what I had there. So that's not good. Let me try something different. I'm going to use Control Z, which should undo this. Okay, Control, oh, that magic key. Whoops, should I have said magic? It's a cool key. All right, this is what I'm going to do. I have to change this. I need to put the page number up here for one thing. So let me do the page number first. So I'm going to highlight this part. And I'm going to do Control C for copy. All right, now it's on my clipboard. Now I'm going to insert a page number. So that's right over here. You see where it took me to design? When I double clicked up in here, it took me from home. It switched me over to the design tab. Okay, that would have happened also if I'd gone to the insert. Then once I'd clicked on the header, then it would have taken me over to design. All right, so I'm there. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to click on page number. Now watch what happens to this information that I highlighted. Okay, pay attention to that. All right, page number, I want it top of the page, and this is the right one. I'll show you what to do with it. Oh, it deleted the other information. What am I going to do? Well, you see where the cursor is? Okay, the cursor means that I can put something in, right there before that one. Okay, and I need that title, right? So let me put it there. Let's say I use Control C to copy. So Control V as in victory should restore that. So let me try that. I'm going to do the paste. Control V. Okay. Oh, there it went. It went in there good. The only problem is that that one is on the wrong line. So I'm going to put my cursor here, and I'm going to delete one, and it pulls it right back up. Okay, so we're cool there. Now that one is in the wrong place. That needs to be at the right margin. So what can I do? Well, I can use the space bar, right? Yeah, it's going to take longer than I want to do it. Why not use the tab key? Now watch what happens. Tab once. There it is. It's right where it's supposed to be. Okay, now I still have a problem with that running head. It needs to be all capital letters. So what does that mean? Am I going to have to retype that? Oh, no, you don't need to retype it. Look, I'm going to select that, just that part. And you remember the home tab that we were on. I'm going to go back to home. Okay. And I'm going to go over here to my change case. You remember that? And I'm going to come down here to uppercase. So I have choices. It can either be sentence case, lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word, toggle case. Well, we know capitalize each word is good for the title page, but not for the running head. The running head has to be all uppercase. So let me select uppercase. And there you go. So a piece of cake, wouldn't you say? That wasn't hard at all. Now, before when I was in the design tab, I saw the close header here. So I could go back to design. Okay, but what if you don't remember? Yeah, I have that problem. Sometimes I don't remember where I was. And so now I'm going to have to figure this out. How am I going to get there? Well, there's an easy way. You can just go down here into the body of the paper and double click. Oh, come on. There you go. All right. So now this is grayed out because I can't affect it anymore. So I can click up here and nothing happens. See? So now my running head is correct. Now you're going to notice that if you look in APA edition 7, that it says that it's no longer required to have a running head on a paper. Well, that's true for certain college and school papers. Papers that would normally be maybe of 10 to 14 pages, maybe those can go without a running head. When you're finished with this paper for, let's say, SPD 696, you might have 50 to 75 pages. All right, so in that case, then it requires the running head. So if you look at the instructions for that running head, it will just tell you very frankly that if your instructor tells you to put the running head in there, then do it. Use that running head. And I'm giving you the instructions to use that. Okay, so that should be there. All right, now let me scroll down a little bit and let's see if there's anything else that needs to be fixed. Okay, yeah, I see that lowercase I. Oh boy, okay. I have to stop sharing. Okay. So I'm going to have to edit this. And I apologize. I thought I'd removed the name. So I didn't. All right, so let me go back and share the screen again. All right, so you go down. I need to change this part here. So if I click here, then I can go back up here, remember, to my change case, and I want to select capitalize each word. So when I do that, then it capitalizes the words. Okay. So normally the O in on would not be capitalized, so I can change that. All right. Then you have your first name, your last name. The date would be the date that your course began. For example, if your course starts in August of 2021, then the date here would just simply be August 2021. Okay, so even as you're submitting papers in September, you're still going to use August because you've always used the date the course began. All right. So the abstract, we'll take a look at it. First of all, there's another problem here. I see a page number at the bottom of the page. According to APA, where do the page numbers, where must they be? Is the bottom of the page okay? No, unfortunately not. APA edition 7 says that the number has to be in the upper right corner. So I have to get rid of this one down here. So how do I get into that footer? Well, the easy way is just simply put your cursor down, double click. Okay, that's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to have to come over and well, I just have to click on it and delete it. All right, now it's gone. So let's take a look at the bottom of page 2 and see if it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. All right, so now that part is fixed. Now, how do I get out of the footer? Well, I can either go up here to close the header and footer. That's one way to do it. But let's say that I don't remember that. I'm in a hurry and I just want to get out of there. Well, just go up into the body, double click, and you're out. Okay, so got that fixed. All right, and then we have cultural diversity impact on special education. Okay, that's correct. We're on page 2. Now we have the abstract. Okay, now I need to tell you that the abstract is going to have to change with each page, each paper that you turn in. Okay, the abstract has to apply to the paper that you're turning in. It cannot apply to something different. You can't write an abstract for the entire 4 chapters. You cannot do it at this point because you are in chapter 1. So this abstract has to be about chapter 1. Okay. Once you get to chapter 2, then your abstract is going to change. Then your abstract is going to be about chapter 1 and chapter 2. When you add chapter 3, then your abstract has to change again. It's going to be about chapters 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you cannot just simply add another paragraph to the abstract. The abstract has changed. So your abstract is supposed to only be 1 paragraph. So how are you going to add that information for the other chapters? You're not going to add paragraphs here. No, you're going to go into your paper and you're going to change what you're writing in the paper so that it reflects information about about the 4 chapters. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. All right, and then you notice here with the Grammarly, it's flagging some items here. Okay, for example, if you click on chapter 1 here, it tells you here that chapter is misspelled. Yeah, it should be a lowercase. Okay, so that kind of flags that. That helps you think, oh, okay. Yeah, Grammarly is right here. So I need to change that. And you can change as easily as just simply clicking on that word chapter and it will correct it for you. Same piece of cake. So using Grammarly has very, very distinct advantages to it. Okay, and then clicking on depending, okay, it's missing a comma. Okay, so the comma comes before depending, so it should be right here. So can I click in here and put it? Sure. Or I can click on the correction there and it automatically puts that in for me. So I highly recommend using Grammarly. It's going to be a time saver. Okay, here's another example. Okay, this is very common to do this, such as comma. Okay, talking about holidays, comma. Okay, so let's see what Grammarly is suggesting here. I click on as, and it says no comma here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. Such as teaching about holidays, students identified in English Learners EL, and identifying the progress. Okay. So this part here does not need a comma in here. There's no reason for it. Okay, and here, say it's telling you got too many words. Okay, and in order. No, put a period here and just use in order. So what happens if I click on that green button there? It changes it for me. Now, isn't that a neat way of correcting your papers? Okay, it just saves you a ton of time. Now, it's up to you what you want to do. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. Now, what is missing on the abstract? I don't see keywords. Do you? No, it's not on there. So we need to correct that. So I'm going to hit the enter key here, and I'm going to type keywords. Keywords is one word, colon, and then I need 3 to 5 words. Okay, now is keywords okay that way, or do I need to format that? Yeah, you're right. I need to format it. So I'm just going to click in the word, and I'm going to use a shortcut again. I hope you like shortcuts. Okay, so I can either italicize by coming up here and clicking here, or I can cheat maybe, or just use a shortcut. I like that better. I'll use a shortcut. Control I, and it's done. You see that when I clicked inside the word and then I used my formatting tool, it automatically italicized the word. And that's great. That's what I want. Okay, then I'm going to have my keywords in here. Now, why do we need the keywords? Well, first of all, the keywords need to relate to your chapter, needs to relate to the work that you're doing. So the keywords helps if somebody is looking for an article that talks about a specific item. And so there might be some words in your paper that you feel are very, very important words. Well, if you use those as keywords and somebody is searching through journals and they type in a keyword that appears in your paper, then your paper is going to be made available to them so that they can look at it. They can use that as a research resource. So that's why you use the keywords. You must have them. Okay, so then you can go down here to chapter 1 and start the body of your paper. But when I saw this the first time in Blackboard, the formatting didn't come across. And when I looked at it here, it looked fine. So I thought, okay, I need to see what this student did here. So I'm going to come up here to my hide show or show hide control button. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. And now I see how many times the student hit the enter key. Okay, because remember, this shows me all of the keystrokes. Okay, holy cow. Okay, so yeah, a lot of them. And this is exactly the reason why I didn't come through on the formatting. So let's get rid of all of these marks. So I will delete them, and it brings up the chapter. So let me use my control enter, and it automatically moves it, page break, and it moves it down here. I just need to recenter that one. I'm okay there. Now, if you take a look here, the page break means that anything above the page break will stay with what you've written here. And once you go below the page break, it forces that information down onto the next page. Okay. This means that you can modify, you can add information above the page break. And the only thing that changes is where the page break is. Now, if you're adding things ahead of that page break and it pushes this down, it could push you into the next page. And for illustration purposes, I'm going to use the Enter key to very quickly move this down. And I'd like you to watch and see what happens. Okay, so press Enter. Okay, pushed it down, Enter again, Enter again, Enter again. Enter, Enter, Enter. You see the page break stays exactly where it's supposed to be. Enter, 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 Enter. Now we're getting close to the bottom of the page. Enter, Enter. Oh, see, part of it went down into the next page, and look where the page break is. The page break is still there. That means that the information was pushed down to a next page. So whatever you put on top of that page break stays with what you're typing here. Okay, and it forces any new information, it just forces that page break down. So that way you never lose your formatting. And if this gets bumped a page, it's okay. All right, so I'm looking at this. I've got the hide show. And so I'm looking at this, and there's some things that are being flagged. Let me see what this is, students. All right, well, this is just telling you that curly versus straight, okay, that's not important. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, here for the quotation marks. Okay, same thing, it's just formatting. Okay, so it can go down some more. And again, that's a formatting issue. So I don't need to worry about those. Okay, this one here. Okay, inconsistent punctuation. Okay, again, it's flagging that. So if you want to correct that and make them all look exactly the same, you're welcome to do that. Now, if you remember when we were looking at the proofing, we told the software to look at punctuation and make sure that the punctuation was on the inside of those quote marks. Well, take a look here. See, it flagged this because that period is outside of that punctuation. So we need to change it. Okay, so we're going to click on the green button, and it changed it. Now that period is in the right place. Okay. All right. So, okay. Got tired of looking at that, so I updated it. Okay. So then it goes through, it'll flag certain expressions. See, here, there's too many words here. You can be more concise and say exactly the same thing just by typing factors. These factors can affect a child's success. Here's another one, in an effort to address the disappropriate placement. Okay, this is a quotation, and it is 3 lines long. So this one is probably marginal. You got it probably at least 30 words. Normally in a quote, there's usually 10 words in a line. So this is almost 3. There's almost 30 words there. Okay, and then you'll go through here. And if you're correcting your own paper, see, then you can take a look at these. All right, so here is a word that is misused at times, overtime. Okay, what does overtime mean? That means extra hours at the job. You're working overtime. Okay, so does that have any place in over time the educational system has changed? Or should it be spelled a different way? Okay, let's take a look and see what is suggested. See, it says over time as two words. Okay, so if I click on that, now this makes sense because I'm not talking about overtime on a job. I'm talking about over time, the educational system has improved, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, then I go through and here it's flagging another word, and. All right, why is it flagging and? Well, because you're connecting two sentences together. Okay, laws have been revised over and over again. I could put a period there. New laws have been created and put into effect. See, that's a new sentence. When I use and to connect two sentences, I must put a comma here. So I will do that here by touching that green spot, and it corrects it. All right, been revised. What is that? Passive voice. Over and over again. Okay, that's kind of an awkward expression there. Can I use a different word to say the same thing? Probably. This is suggesting repeatedly. Okay, so laws have been revised over and over again. Okay, let's change it. Laws have been revised repeatedly, and new laws have been created and put into effect. Okay, all right, so even this part is probably not important. Okay, so been revised. I wouldn't worry about that. Okay, now the word but is one of those words that really should not be at the beginning of a sentence. That's why it was flagged. So you can use however or nonetheless or nevertheless. Okay, into effect. Okay, that might be a word use problem. Okay, so it's suggesting effect. So it's your choice. My preference, just leave it the way it is. So I'm not going to change it. All right, so now I go down and I can keep looking and see what happens here. All right, and I keep going through, and some things I'm going to change, some things I'm not. But we look through here, and pretty much this is not bad at all. Okay. All right. So it's definitions. You will have a paper that you have definitions. So you need 6 definitions. And at the end of each definition, you need a resource. So this one's missing a resource. This one has a resource. Okay. Background. Okay, this one does have a resource. This one has a resource. And this one. And this one. And this one. Now this one is 4 lines. So I would manage a guess that it is more than 40 words. So it should have been processed different. So let me go up here to view. No, that's not where it is. About review, there it is. So I'm going to select. Okay, so that's what I'm selecting. I'm going to click here on word count. And how many words do I have? Wow, 55 words. Okay, so this is clearly a violation of APA. So this needs to be formatted differently. That's all it needs, just a different format. Okay, another point is ellipses. You should not put ellipses at the beginning of a quotation. There's no need for it. Your quotation is starting with the word that the first word of your quote. Okay, and I probably wouldn't use this much. It's way too much. But I would get rid of the ellipses. Okay, and okay. Okay, sometimes you can just change a few words here. Placement decisions determine where the child receives special education and related services. So see, I got a lot of that out of there. So if I got rid of those, okay, placement decisions determine where the child receives special education and related services. So that solved that problem, and it made it easier reading. Okay, and then we go on and follow through with the other ones. All right, so keep going. Oh, okay, I can see where we have a problem here. Okay, I see that this individual, okay, nothing, the individual did absolutely nothing wrong. Okay, there is no criticism for this, except that the student could have saved some time. So let me clear out all of these. Okay, and so I'm just going to come over here and do a page break. Okay, so see what happened? It pushed it down, but instantly. So I didn't have to hit that enter key so many times. Now here's an enter key that should not be there, so I'm going to delete it. Okay, well, I'm taking a little drink here of lemonade. See if you can figure out what's wrong with the references here. Okay, I think I heard somebody say that it's not formatted correctly. You're right. Okay, these need to be in alphabetical order for one, and they have to use hanging indent for second. Okay, so I'm going to look here and see first if it's in alphabetical order. And it looks like it is. Oh, I've got an extra enter key there, so I'm going to delete that. And okay, that'll be okay. All right, so what am I going to do? Do it. Oh man, I can imagine in my mind somebody thinking, oh my goodness, okay, the first line is not indented, but all the other lines are indented. So now how am I going to do that? Man, I'm going to have to use my tab key a number of times. That's going to be a mess. Okay, well, it doesn't have to be a mess. Okay, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do this. All right, so I'm going to select all of the references. Okay, that's all of them. Now I'm going to go back. Let's see here. I don't see the paragraph tool. So I'm going to go back to home. And here's the paragraph key. So I'm going to click here. And so I am going to go to the special here, say for the indent. Now, in case I didn't mention it earlier, all of these items must be 0. It cannot be anything other than 0. So please make sure that these are all zeros here. All right, so right now you have the first line is indented at 1/2 inch. By the way, 1/2 inch is 10 spacebar clicks, not 5. It's 10. So the easiest way to do your indentation is to set up your indentations right here using the paragraph tool. So I'm going to click here and, oh, look at that. There is a selection for hanging indent. So I'm going to click that. And what does it say here? 1/2 inch. That's right on. I look down here in the preview and I can see, yes, it is. It is going to use the hanging indent. So now all I have to do, since I highlighted everything that needs to be fixed, okay, I click on OK. And what happened? Look at that. It is all correct now. Okay, so use the tools. You have tools here in Microsoft to make your life easy. It helps you with the formatting of your papers. It helps you to get your papers done with a minimum amount of work on the Word document itself. You have a number of resources there, shortcuts. You probably won't remember all of them, so maybe you want to download this video, save it on your computer so that you can refer back to it from time to time. I highly encourage that. Now, we need to go do something as well here. Let me go down to the bottom. Okay, we have the references, and we're done with that, and the paper ends. Okay, now with SPD 695 and SPD 696, some of your papers require at least one appendix. Okay, on at least two of your papers in either class, you need to have more than one appendix. For example, in 695, you had an article review of 8 articles. Okay, so you had to write an appendix on each individual article. Okay. So each individual article, you analyzed the articles in a paper. That was probably chapter 2. You analyzed the articles. You put them together in a paper, and then you had your review of the individual articles. Each of those reviews had to be an appendix. So in SPD 695, you had a minimum of 8 appendices. You probably had more because you were instructed to add different things that you would use in your experiment, in your project. So you had to have data collection devices, perhaps charts to record information. You had to have charts for instructions for a number of different things. Maybe you had letters going out to your principal, to any teachers who would be helping you with your project, and especially to the parents. And you probably had forms for giving permission for the students to participate. So you had those as appendices. All right, so in SPD 696, you have basically the same requirements, except that you're going to review 12 different articles. Okay, it's a minimum of 12. You can do more if you want. If you do more, I'll read them, not a problem. But you need to put those appendices. You're going to have them on chapter 2 and on your compilation paper. Now, some of your instructors from previous classes didn't require you to add the appendices to your paper. You could submit it as an individual paper. That's fine. If your instructor told you to do that, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. We have the option of either attaching them or not attaching them. Now, for the classes that I teach, I'm asking you to attach them to the document. This makes it easier for me to read. When I'm reviewing your papers, I can very quickly go back and forth between your appendices and what you're writing about the paper. So my instructions are to attach those appendices. Okay, so don't worry if your previous teacher told you not to, that's fine. You follow the directions of your teacher. But just keep in mind that if I'm your instructor, I'm asking you to attach that to your paper. Okay, the way the formatting goes, well, let me just go ahead and add it here. I'm to the end of my document here. So in order for me to start the appendices, please remember the appendices always follow the references. They never go before the references. They always follow the references. That's in your APA guide, 7th edition. Okay, so I'm finished with my reference section here on this document. So now I'm going to add an appendix. So I need the appendix to start on a brand new page. Okay, so I'm going to use a page break. By now, you should remember page break is control, hold the control key down and tap the enter key. All right, so that puts me down on a new page. And there's a lot of garbage in here. I'm going to clean it all out. Okay, and I think I'll go ahead and turn off that little symbol there. All right, so I cleared off too much. So let me do this again. All right, so now I'm on the new page. So the title of this page is going to be Appendix A. So APPENDIX A. Okay, and then I'm going to center that. And then I'm going to return this back to the margin. Okay, now I'm going to put whatever my Appendix A is, I'm going to put it right here. Now that might mean going to another document that you have where the appendix is and copying it and pasting it here. That's fine. These are appendix. So as long as you are telling me where your sources are, I don't have a problem with copy and paste here. Okay, when you're finished with Appendix A, you need to go to Appendix B, which means Control Enter again. Okay, and then this is going to be Appendix B. Okay, center, and then return to the margin, and I'm going to put Appendix B. Now, this is what I would like you to do when you're doing your appendices and you get to the articles and the appendix here. Let's say that Appendix A is Article 1. Then this is what I want you to do. Okay, under Appendix A, I want you to write Article 1. Okay, very simple. Okay, this is for your benefit as well as mine, because if you put the number of the article there, then you can keep track of them and you don't have to go back and keep counting. Okay, do I have enough appendices? Did I cover all of the articles? Okay, and it also helps me because then I don't have to go back and count them and say, oh my goodness, okay, do they have enough articles here? Okay, so it's simple. It simplifies things for both of us. All right. So for the next article for Appendix B, then that might be Article 2. Okay, so you see the pattern there. Okay. If you have an appendix that is not a review of an article, please put those appendices before the articles. I want the articles to be the last set of appendices on your paper. So if your appendix E, for example, is the first appendix for your articles, then you're going to put Appendix E and then you're going to write Article 1 under it. It's just that simple. Okay, so I'm trying to make this as easy as possible. What I've done this afternoon is to show you some of the problem areas that the average person encounters in Microsoft Word, how to resolve those issues, and how to format your paper the right way. Okay, I'm giving you a number of tools here. You're welcome to download this, this video and use it for the future, please. All right, that's all I have for right now. I will see you in the collaborate meeting. So have a great rest of your day. I will stop sharing now. Hopefully that wasn't very painful. Hopefully it was helpful. Okay, I can't speak for everybody, but I know some students appreciate having that extra information. One thing that I feel is very important is learning how to use the tools properly. Okay, you can go out and dig a hole in your backyard. You can use either a shovel, or you can use a backhoe, or you can use a spoon, or even a knife. Okay, which is going to be easier for you to get that job of digging the hole done quicker and easier? Well, for some people, it's going to be the backhoe. But if you don't have access to a backhoe, well, a shovel works. And I would much rather use a shovel than a spoon or a knife to dig a hole. So please use the tools that are available to you. In your coursework, there are things available for you. If you will just simply go through the course and look at all the tools and see what's there. Look at the samples. In your coursework, I've left samples for you. They should be very simple to follow samples. I've simplified the course as much as I possibly can. And I've tried to make it easy for you. So please read the material carefully. Read the whole syllabus before you start anything. Read the directions for each of the assignments. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. You can send me emails. That's probably the easiest way to contact me. I usually answer my emails very quickly. In very few cases, it might be 24 hours, but most of the time it's within a couple of hours. You send me an email late at night, keep in mind that Florida is 3 hours ahead of you. So if it's 8 o'clock your time, it's 11 o'clock my time. Okay, so when it gets pretty late, then I tend to go to bed and try to sleep. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So if you're trying to call me on the phone, if it's real late, I won't answer. You can leave a message on the phone. Or if I am too busy to answer the phone, which happens from time to time, leave a message for me. In your message, please identify yourself. Tell me which course you're in. I teach a lot of 696 courses. I also teach quite a few of the 695 courses. So I usually have 2 courses going on at the same time every month. So please keep that in mind. It's easier if you can tell me the month that your course starts and what the course number is. That way it's easier for me to look up the issue that you have and to provide as much help as I can for you. All right. And of course, you can leave a message in the virtual office as well, but I might not see that as often as if you send me an email. So if it's something of concern to you, if you're stuck on something, send me an email. If it's super urgent, then leave me a message on the phone. Okay, you can always send a text message as well. My phone is quite capable of text messaging. Okay, and that's usually pretty quick because Usually I stop and I'll look at my text messages and see what I can answer right away and what I need to wait a little bit before answering. So don't let that intimidate you. I'm here to help you. So please avail yourself of that help. Okay. All right. Nice chatting with you this evening. And we'll see you later. Let's see here.